Alright, pproteus back here for round number 6. Going second, going to keep this hand, obviously playing against this guy, who is the one I lost to in the quarterfinals 2 weeks ago on the Frog Tongue Hexproof. I'm imagining they're still on the same thing, but could be anything. Yep, so gotta keep. So my plan here is turn 1 Ponder, then turn 2 Ash Baron's Tiled Stripe, and then turn 3 Inside Out Kill, maybe, just maybe. We'll see, we'll see. I actually really don't know how to play this deck versus even normal Hexproof. So trying to figure it out versus okay, yeah, looks like Hexproof versus Hexproof with cards that I don't expect is going to be even more challenging, but I'm pretty sure it's favorable because Hexproof can't interact with me. The only thing I have to be worried about is Armadillo Cloak because I can't beat a ton of life gain. Yeah, can't beat a ton of life gain, but as long as they can't interact with me, I can just go off. So I want to get Tribe down really fast, and then they probably have no interaction at all main deck, and then just kill. But who knows, maybe they will surprise me. I guess they don't have a great sideboard against me either. Where they have Moment's Peace, but I mean, I think I can beat Moment's Peace. It's just not very cheap. They also have some lightning bolts and some electricity, and they can bring those in, but because they're red, they can only cast like one of them at a time. And so that's going to be pretty rough on them to be trying to interact that way. So really, they're just going to be leaning hard on Armadillo Cloak. And because they're leaning on Armadillo Cloak, I need to get Tribe down fast in order to have Circular Logic up. And so I imagine that this match gets a lot easier on the play than on the draw. So I'm looking at my opponent's hand, and they've got Colony Garden, Forest, Frog Tongue, Ancestral Mask, Abundant Growth, and Karametra's Favor. So no great cards, and actually no Armadillo Cloak, and also no Hexproof features. So this is looking promising for me. I just have to find my combo cards. So I see here Plains, Island, Gush. I don't want the Gush, and I definitely don't want the Island. I want a Plains, but I was going to Ash Barrens for the Plains anyways, so I think I'll just shuffle away and draw something else instead. And I drew an Island. So this game's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. See if I can draw something relevant in a reasonable time frame. Opponent plays the Forest into the Karametra's Favor. Then I'll have 2 unknowns in their hand again. And there's Abundant Growth. That's yet another unknown. And here is Tidal Stripe. So, in theory, I can possibly win if I draw well next turn. In fact, if my opponent resolves an Armadillo Cloak, and I draw, and then attacks me, I might just Gush and go for it. Because it's going to be so hard to beat that. Because my opponent next turn is going to resolve an Ancestral Mask, and then gains too much life for me to ever win. So anyways, Pauper at its finest with Tidal Stripe versus Karametra's Favor. Opponent is clearly quite good with their deck. and their deck can't be that bad. Although, who knows? Maybe only one of those two has to be true. I've been trying to analyze metagame, and I've become really hung up by the problem that I can't really tell whether or not it's a deck that's good or that it's players that are good. Because maybe good players just choose good decks, or maybe good players win regardless of what deck they're on, and then the decks that people think are good are the ones that the good players are playing. And both of those factors, and I suspect they're both true to some extent, make it really hard for us to tell which things are good, which decks are actually good, and which ones aren't. And if there is, I think it's pretty clear that there's a larger difference in terms of play skill for the top few players than there is in terms of deck quality, because we keep seeing the same players at the top, and some players who are capable of switching decks, then they switch decks and they still show up at the top. So I've been trying to, keep Anyways, for some reason I thought it was going to tell me when my opponent passed back. So sorry if I made you wait for that delay. I was just struggling to think of something intelligent to talk about. So opponent now has 7 cards in their hand: Garden, Frog Tongue, Mask. They could, from what I know, play the Garden and tap out for an Ancestral Mask on the plant. Probably aren't going to do that, because that means they just die if I have an Inside Out. And I'm more likely than not, from their perspective, to have an Inside Out. So it would be kind of risky for them to do that. It would be less risky for them if they had another untapped land to play that. Alright, they do have an untapped land. Armadillo Cloak? No! I can't beat that. So my opponent's gonna Ancestral Mask because they have that in their hand. And when they do, that will give the plant +6/+6. And then they'll attack me for 8. Alright, they're gutsy. They're attacking. I'm not sure why they're doing that. So if my opponent attacks me for 8, and then goes up to 30, I'm going to have to discard 8 cards. I guess that's not impossible. But then, what if they have another land, Ethereal Armor? So I think I have to go for it right now. Oh, no, don't do that. No. That is not what I wanted to do. Inside Out. Bam. No. Not working. So I have to auger here. I don't have the Inside Out. Now, it's possible that I can buy a turn with like Giga Drowse. So if I top deck Giga Drowse and my opponent doesn't have Ethereal Armor here, I've got a chance. Oh, no, alright, we're dead. We're dead, because I can't win this anymore. I can deal 33 damage in a turn. I don't think I can deal 36, and I can't since I didn't draw out of it. Yeah, alright. They got me. So, after sideboard, Standard Bearer comes in, Disenchant comes in, because I want to be able to deal with scary things. Lone Missionary, probably not. Hydroblast, I could, because they are going to bring in red spells, but nah, that doesn't actually sound good. No. Pirates of Charm, okay, because they're going to bring in Standard Bearer against me. They didn't have Standard Bearer in their winning deck last week, so maybe they don't have it at all. So let's just go with one. Stormbound Geist is obviously terrible. Fade Away is terrible against Cantrip Auras. So I like these three. Dispel, not a card I want to have three of. One doesn't sound that bad, so my opponent's going to bring in Moment's Peace against me. Assuming they... I side out Giga Drowse, even though I was hoping to draw it there. Probably isn't that great. I side out Shadow Rift. Inside Out kills plant tokens. I can imagine feeling pretty clever. Or maybe I should bring a Pirate's Charm to kill another plant token. I can imagine feeling really smart when my opponent tapped out for an Armadillo Cloak on the 0/1 plant and I get to kill it. That sounds pretty sweet. Wow. I'm disappointed that that game didn't go my way. I'm not sure. I think I played it properly. Not 100% sure, but I think. So I am going to play first. So I've got turn 1 Preordain, turn 2 Tireless Tribe, and then turn 3 Kill. So I'm not mulliganing that. Opponent mulligans 6, keep 6. Hexproof is a deck that has to mulligan a lot because a lot of its hands aren't functional, and I imagine that having a bunch of like frog tongues makes it better and not worse, but I'm not positive about that because they also have fewer hexproof creatures. So Preordain, basically just looking for Inside Out. Do I want a Ponder? So I'm putting an island on the bottom. Do I want a Ponder? Yeah, sure, I'll take it. I don't have to kill actually on turn 3. My opponent's probably going to have a blocker. Okay, Augur's not that bad. I'm supposed to side an Augur out because it's a bit slow. Anyways, Tribe here is the main part of my plan. It's going to Ash Barrens for Forest. Alright. Lightning Bolt my Tireless Tribe. Well, like, I can understand that, but you're not going to kill my Tireless Tribe that way. Tireless Tribe is bolt resistant. Okay, Probe is good because if I draw an Inside Out, I win the game. I see Rancor, Frog Tongue, Mask, Abundant Growth. So, doesn't really do very much. Frog Tongue can enchant my creature, so that's a thing to be aware of. So they at least draw 2 cards on their next turn. So I guess I don't win. So even if I Ponder hit the Inside Out, I have to play the land, which means I'm only going to have 4 cards to discard, so that's not going to be enough. So I'm going to Augur right now. I hit a Gush. That's a good one. And then I'm going to cast Ponder. And there's the Inside Out, along with Pirate's Charm and Preordain. So I'm going to put all those on the top. Do not shuffle. Hit for 1, and then, well, I mean, I'm probably not going to go off next turn, because even though my opponent has nothing, my opponent's also not going anywhere. And then that means that if they top deck, and they get multiple top decks this turn, if they top deck a Bolt, I might lose. I also could lose to, say, Gut Shot, but I'm not going to play around things that... I mean, I play around Gut Shot too much. Let's just say that. Let's leave it at that. Oh, I also have Pirate's Charm, so that actually saves me from Gut Shot. Alright, and let's Gush. Come on. Gush. Gush. Play land. Might as well cast Preordain just in case something bizarro happens. Oh, there we go. Detection Probe. That's what I wanted. I want to probe my opponent, make sure they didn't draw anything ridiculous. They drew Frog Tongue. Oh, I forgot to cross off some of this stuff. They drew another Frog Tongue, and they drew Armadillo Cloak. So they have no instants that cost 0 mana, even though I was pretty sure they didn't have any in the first place. So now they're just dead. But just had to be sure. I knew I had the mana extra, so I might as well take a look. I'm not going to show my opponent Pirate's Charm. And I'm also not going to show my opponent Shadow Rift. Because my opponent doesn't necessarily know anything about what's in my deck. I imagine. Some people are just not familiar, and this guy I know for a fact seems to have not played Pauper for a long stretch of time. So maybe they do not understand how my deck works. And it was not that they haven't played Pauper for a long stretch of time that makes me think that they don't understand. It's the fact that they made the attack last turn, or last game, even though I was saying, I'm going to kill you if I have Inside Out in my hand. That's what makes me think they don't understand my deck. So, how do I like my sideboarding? I do not want another Pirate's Charm. Might be wrong. I think I would rather cut an Augur. Because I probably just don't want a hand with multiple Augurs. It's going to be too slow. I'd rather have Shadow Rift. Alright. So, as I said, it gets easier when you're going first. Now I'm going second. I have to hope to draw good cards. And this is good. This is good. Because I have a Tireless Tribe. And I have 2 draw steps to draw my planes, and that's still pretty unlikely. I'm keeping this hand, it's great. It's gonna look at 4 different cards. I have a land, and then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 draws to hit my second land. So, I mean, that's why this deck is so powerful, really. It's the strength of being able to not mulligan. That's good too. I like Ponder. So I'm going to probe, look at my opponent's hand. What do they have? This is not a great hand. They have Frog Tongue, they have Rancor, they have Slippery Bogle, they have Armadillo Cloak, and they have Ancestral Mask. So the reason it's not a great hand is that they don't have lands. So if I draw planes here, you know, I basically win the game, I feel. Maybe that's exaggerating, but it's pretty great. I hit circular logic, circular logic. I do not want circular logic. No, I don't want to probe again because I'm not going to do anything else this turn. I'm going to save my probe for next turn. So imagine my opponent's going to start with Frog Tongue and then go looking for some more lands. And I really hope they don't find it. Oh no, they found one. It's so bad. They played the Rancor instead of the Bogle. Isn't that interesting? I'm going to probe again here because if I hit the plains, I'm going to want to play Tribe and leave up Circular Logic for Armadillo Cloak. And their last card is Electrickery. So Bogle, Armadillo Cloak, Mask, Electrickery. Alright, let's go. Hope my opponent draws something that costs 3. Or even better, maybe they draw a Karametra's Favor that makes them tap out. I can block and kill this. Like, I can trade it for a Dispel. That's interesting. I could trade it for a Dispel. So, imagine you're my opponent, and, well, I mean, first of all, your draw isn't a land, because, or at least not an untapped land. Because if it is, then you probably just want to slam the Ancestral Mask, or the Armadillo Cloak. They could have multiple Bogles. Then again, I'm going to, if I can't kill them, I'm going to get to untap with Circular Logic open. And it's going to be rather challenging for my opponent to win through that. And I may have to discard cards to trade for my opponent's creatures anyways, so, you know, this is not that scary. Because it's not that scary, I'm just going to let myself take the 2. I would like... Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to attack with the Tribe. I don't know what my opponent has, but I really hope it's not... I really hope it's not a fog. Because if it's like literal fog, I lose. Alright, so I'm going to discard the Dispel. Eat the Bogle. Pass the turn. Now I hope my opponent draws a land, because an untapped land, because it means they will slam their giant thing, and I get to counter it. Have they figured out they shouldn't be attacking me yet? Nope, they're still attacking me. I missed my land drop. They didn't take notice of that? They could have Moment's Peace, though. Do I play around that? If my opponent goes plains into Armadillo Cloak, they go up to 24. I can still win the game. If they go on top land into go on top land into Ancestral Mask, they hit me for 6, and I can still win the game. And if they go Utopia Sprawl and no. Alright, I can't think of anything that will make me just win the game if I miss on an untapped land here. Ooh, Disenchant. So I hit Brainstorm, Disenchant, and untap land, so do not shuffle. Put the land on top, play the land, and get in there with the tribe. It's very interesting that my opponent, wait a minute, got to cross off the Vogel. My opponent has 2 unknowns. Come on, untap land. Draw an untap land so you tap out. Come on, come on. I'm scared of fog. I'm scared of gut shot. Don't make me. Just make it easy for me, opponent, please. Just make it easy for me. They're thinking. What did they draw that is making them think? So, by the way, the reason I went for the attack there is, well, I do actually want to encourage them to attack me, but more importantly, I want to deal the damage so that, oh no, that was not what I wanted my opponent to draw. So now my opponent has Moment's Peace, which seems relatively likely. They can do that, plus Electrickery. And I don't have 2 pieces of counter magic up. So I'm going to look at these 3, which are Brainstorm, Inside Out, Shadow Rift. I don't actually want that. I want lands and counter magic. So I got a land. Now I have enough counter magic to save myself from basically anything. Electrickery my Tireless Tribe? You're a little trigger happy there. I would counter that. That was very interesting. They had the untapped land, but they didn't go for it. So they must have Moment's Peace. Because they made me do that, now I can't beat. So I have to discard. I hope I didn't make too much sense when I was. Whoa, Ancestral Mask. Alright, so opponent has. Well, they played the Ash Barrens for a reason. It's because they're holding a bolt. So I think I have to. I have to discard 5 cards to win. So if they're attacking me, for 6, I go down to 2, but then they bolt me. I have to counter that, and then they're tapped out. And then I have exactly 5 cards in hand to discard. And if something goes wrong, I can always disenchant. Okay. You got it. I think I'm in control of this game. The opponent has to have something red, because otherwise you cycle Aspirants for planes. Look at that. My opponent is completely aware that something is going wrong, that I spent a lot of time thinking and then let it resolve. Okay. Opponent's with it. That's good. That's good. Do I disenchant here? It sounds stupid. Do I do it? I feel like I'm wasting mana if I don't. I can't let them have it. They're eventually going to draw like a Frog Time or something, and it's going to be lethal. So preordain. If this gets me a Shadow Rift, I win the game. I think. So I hit Brainstorm, Shadow Rift. Wait a minute. I lied. My opponent has Bolt, so I don't win the game. What am I talking about? I'll win the game next turn. Maybe. Maybe I attack here and then trade. Discard the Shadow Rift and trade. I'm just going to wait for next turn. I can counter Armadillo Cloak if my opponent wants to spend a whole 3 mana on it. I suspect my opponent's hand is Bolt plus Moment's Peace. Well, I don't know whether it's Electricity or Bolt. Electricity maybe is more likely. Because they were more likely to go for the attack if they thought I had, if they had Bolt. But if they just think I can interact with them, then obviously they don't do it. So I'm not convinced. So I have to discard 5 cards. And cards that cantrip, so Inside Out, Shadow Rift, Agitation Probe, count as a card that I'm discarding. So next turn I have 6 cards in my hand, save, which lets me save the Circular Logic. So I'm going to probe, and if I only see one piece of interaction, then I go for it, because I'm guaranteed to win. But I'm actually suspecting that my opponent has 2 pieces of interaction, and that means that I'm going to not probe yet. It means I'm going to wait one more turn to draw one more card so that I can cast both of my Circular Logics. Okay, opponent has Ancestral Mask here. So once again, I can Circular Logic. But now I have the Shadow Rift. My opponent can have maximum 2 pieces of interaction. Alright, so I have to go for it on my next turn, but I think I can afford to. And I can survive a Bolt. Does this mean I have it? What? My opponent has Armadillo Cloak, so they can't go Mountain Bolt Bolt. Oh, yeah, they can't do that. Keep hitting, turn off auto yields. So I'm afraid my opponent's got that Bolt. I'm not sure why they made the attack this turn, but not last turn. Should I probe for mana? Or... yeah, I should, because I can't beat gut shot anyways. So I'm going to discard Saving Circular Logic. Going to discard 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just they could have some weird card I haven't thought of. So I'm thinking about how to play around cards I don't know about, which is usually a trap, but I think in this matchup it's possible it might not be here. I think I have to probe for mana. And then I inside out, and I have the Circular Logic. And they're going to reveal their hand, and I'm going to look at Armadillo Cloak, plus Bolt, plus Electrickery. My opponent has the Bolt. But what are they playing around? My opponent has Armadillo Cloak, Electrickery, and Lightning Bolt. And they can only cast one of them. So I cast Inside Out, and I've got him. Maybe they thought I would have to discard all of my counter magic, and then they would kill me in response. But that's not actually what's going to happen. One, two, three. I hope this is not agonizingly slow for you watching. 4. I'm just trying to make sure I don't screw up. 5. Alright. There we go. Now you cast your Bolt, and I counter it. Unless you pay 17. And the Bolt targets me, of course. Despite being fun, this deck is also stressful. But I still highly recommend it. And counter unless you pay 17, take 25. I gotta go take a break. Anyways, 5-1. And my breakers have got to be pretty good. So, top 8. Anyways, see you in round 7 because we have a big event this week. 75 players. See you there.